That's a good.
It's a good thing.
It's a good flaw.
It's a good thing.
Alright, you guys ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay. This is the fourth, no, I forget what episode this is. This is the 5th episode and second episode that I've done today. So yeah, apologies if I'm not the best host, but I'll get better. And I'm excited to hear from you guys. It seems like you guys are gonna have some stories for me.
Absolutely. We're glad to be here.
So your guys' names are?
Andy, I'm the guitarist and singer of Temple Witch.
Brian, I do bass guitar.
Okay. How did you guys meet and how long have you been together?
Well, actually, not very long. Not too long ago, in January, the original bassist, Jake Jones, he left the band and he was helping us reach out to other people to try and, join up. And it was Jake who found Brian. And they contacted each other over Facebook. I think it was Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And Brian, by February, joined the band. And that's essentially it. We had 2 practices together, and we had a couple other people trying out, and we went with Brian.
And what's it been like since then?
He's a real bastard, man. Like, I don't know if I can put up with him for much longer, but
Common consensus.
yeah.
So what do you guys do in the band? How does the band work?
Well, I'm actually curious to hear what you think of that.
Well, in my view, man, I'm a hired gun. I'm very happy to have already developed a deep friendship with these guys. It's sad that our drummer, Jake Worley, could not attend, but I just want to give recognition to him. But yeah, I feel like that first practice, I guess you could call it a tryout. I think it was meshed pretty immediately.
Pretty much immediately, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just more importantly, it's you feel like some bands that can work where they don't get along, but I personally wouldn't be in a band if I didn't like my bandmates. I don't see the point. You spend so much time with them, and but some bands that might add fuel to the fire if it works for them, great. But life's short. I don't want to spend time with people I don't like, But it went great. It's like I said, mesh right away, and Andy's guitar playing is at first pretty unpredictable, but I was able to kind of tell where he was going and what was going to happen next. Probably about the 4th or 5th practice, and it's like I said, just meshes human beings and friends immediately, and then every time we practice, we mesh more as musicians. And Jacob Jones, by the way, phenomenal bass player. I mean, if he came to one of the shows, I would be intimidated to play him. The dude is. I mean, listen to the Temple Witch recordings. I'm not on any of the recordings yet.
Yeah,
his tone, man. His tone is amazing. He does these slides that are just so tasteful, and just major credit to him. I'd love to see him. I've never met him in person, but I would love to see him start playing in a band again. Yeah. He is. I think you can agree, phenomenal.
He's absolutely phenomenal.
Phenomenal bass player. Yeah.
But yeah, basically, what happens, the process of things is, we'll come to practice, I'll come in with a riff, and I'll just show it to Worley and Brian, and then they'll come in with their part, whatever they feel. It's all really based on feeling for the first part. Then after we run through whatever we have, we'll look at each other and we'll say, what about that? Or somebody will say, how about this for this part? And it's just a meshing of feelings and ideas. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It's very easygoing, which is nice. There's really no pressure on anything.
Yeah, it's just a privilege to find a band where people, no ego, and just meshes, like I said before, just meshes people.
It's hard to find. I'm a musician myself, and I play different instruments, but I'm a guitarist mainly. But the hardest part of putting a band together for me is people who are willing to practice, and then also people who don't need things to go one way or something. Just let things happen.
Absolutely.
It's great that you guys are lucky for being able to have that.
Oh, fortunate beyond words, man. It's
Okay, now.
very, 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 very pleased with it. Very, very fortunate in that regard. You know, like any other band, every time, there's times when somebody has a prior commitment, you have to miss practice for a week. I'm bummed, man. I look forward to it, just getting together and just creating. You know, it's important. It feeds the soul. It gives a purpose in life.
Absolutely. I feel like it's necessary for a band to practice, if you can, every day. That what he was saying earlier, I mean, friendship is the thing that makes a band. The band is what becomes of the friendship, or I should say it's the result of the friendship. And so that's why, like, it's like you missed out on the treat of the week, you know, if you miss your band practice.
Yeah, my mic died, but I definitely agree. It's at least the people that I play with find it really fun, and they're either, if they miss something, they're doing something on their own usually.
I told Brian that and he agrees, the biggest challenge of the band are the bandmates, but when it becomes easier, then like, oh my god, thank god.
Yeah.
I got some advice. You know who Yob is?
Yeah.
Yeah, the doom metal band from Oregon. I reached out to Mike Scheit, their frontman, one time and asked for advice, and the first thing he told me was that friendship is the horse that drives the cart, I think was the phrase he used. And like, that was a good portion of his whole message, was that it was that, and you know, be respectful to the venue and be on time and all this and that, but he really placed importance on ease and friendship, you know.
Yeah, my best friend Bryce is, it's him and I are the two people on the lease for the place, but we've been friends since like middle school, and then we started playing guitar together, and we kind of we just have practiced and played together since then. So
Right.
I'm lucky for having that. That's a great thing to have, and something for anybody starting out would be definitely try to find somebody you can play with all the time.
And that's what it should be about, is it should be about playing together, having a good time, about the relationship itself, more than anything, you know. Your goals for success can really get in the way. I mean, not that you shouldn't have them, you should, because there should be a goal involved in any aspect of life, but the relationship is the thing that, you know, is giving the goal life in the first place, so.
Okay.
I want to know about your guys' shows. Have you guys played any shows together yet? And how?
Two?
Yeah, two shows so far.
Yeah. You've done. I lost count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and to both of you, I'll be sure to ask you for sure, but definitely, what have those shows been like? And we'll start with those two, and then we'll get a little bit more, like, just what's the craziest one that you've
Right.
seen, or you've probably been in a lot of shows too, so.
Well, I went on a
That's
19-year musical hiatus. Part by design, part, I just woke up one day and like, my God, it's been almost 20 years. And I just really needed to start doing it again, and that's when this happened. But yeah, that's, what was the question? I'm sorry.
just if you've done shows before, I didn't mean to assume, but that's
yeah,
crazy.
well, yeah, I was back in the day, God, I think like the first live show I ever did was probably 1999 with probably, we never recorded anything properly, but it was a band called Unhinged out of Kent. And our drummer, still a good friend of mine by the name of Armin Korogli, and he went on to play with a lot of really good death metal bands. Spent some time with Cognitive, based out of New Jersey,
Okay.
which is a really phenomenal band. Look him up on YouTube, Armin Karoglu. He does some playthroughs. He's just a beast of a drummer.
He wasn't the guy I met at our last show, was he?
No,
That
no,
was another friend.
no. That was he met a lot of people at the last show.
Your friend with the beard he said you were responsible for him singing. He must have been someone who sang for you. Oh, I don't know. I put you on the spot. He can't watch this podcast.
Responsible for him singing.
He kept insisting that you.
Oh, Ben!
Ben.
Yeah.
He kept saying that you wanted him to sing for something.
Yeah. We did a band called Saturday Sanctuary, which was just a blatant ripoff of the song title by the cult called She Sells Sanctuary. And we were definitely kind of like a heavy, non-blues inspired, thankfully, nothing against the blues, but rock band. He sang in that, and Mike Carlton from years ago, a band called Hate Theory was on guitar. My good friend Chris and Rob were the other members of the band, but we had a lot of fun with that. Last show I did,
That's
last
a
show I
cool
did
name,
with
I
them.
like that name.
Thank you. Last show with them
It's
was
mid-tier name, probably.
Yeah.
I would go with something else.
right. Yeah. I'm glad you did. But that was, 2006 was the last time, other than Temple, which was the last time I played out. So, moral of the story is, never stop doing what you love. I mean, 20 years is a long time.
So,
You know?
what's the craziest thing you've seen at somewhere you've performed, or like musically?
You want to go first?
Yeah, for me, I mean, maybe not crazy, but most concerning thing I saw was there's a venue called the Mantis in Kent, Ohio, which is no longer there. It was a DIY venue, great venue. There's a lot of cool bands there. We played there with the quote-unquote death metal band, and we ended up going on at like 4 in the morning. And I remember I looked down at what they called a stage, and just right by my foot is a needle, like a syringe. I'm like, what the fuck, man? While there was a toddler
Oh shit.
running around the venue whose parents were at the venue, which is fine, man. That's fine, perfectly fine. You just don't expect to see that at 4 a.m. when you're somehow going on at 4 a.m., which is ridiculous. But
It's unfortunate,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's why our shows are 18 plus.
Yeah.
Our shows are 18 plus, so that everybody knows I gotta hold my mic up to say that now. I mean, somebody was doing something they probably shouldn't have been doing once, and we just told them like, hey, you gotta go, basically.
Yeah.
So we try to keep things cleaned up, but it's kind of hard to watch out for those types of things. So I can imagine if just some scumbag came in and did some stupid shit, but
yeah, that was like I said, that was probably 1999.
and yeah, the time.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Right.
I
Great
mean,
venue.
the time that you were doing that kind of stuff, I think I like a lot of 90s to
Yeah.
2000 bands. So.
Yeah, it was cool to be around for that stuff. We saw a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of really good bands that never saw the exposure they should have in the 90s.
People were still allowed to jump on stage.
Yeah,
Crowds.
yeah. I mean,
People still went to shows.
Yeah, that was the thing. Is people would just go to shows. You know, you'd be like, oh, there's a band playing here, I'm gonna go, without ever hearing it before.
I think I'm seeing some of that come back too.
It's happening
It
here.
is, yeah,
We get
really-
a consistent crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is great, man. It's
Yeah.
so awesome.
It's very encouraging to see that again.
It's amazing, and I know a lot of other places around us, like at the spot. We just started talking to them and trying to share bands that like, hey, they can't make it here, or we can't fill them here. You guys having a show this night and that kind of stuff. So that's been even cool. Like behind the scenes, we're even making friends with the other people doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it creates unity. There's that's really important to local scenes. I mean, you can forge life-lasting friendships. People do the same. There's no need to be competitive about it.
Right.
I feel like it probably still goes on quite a bit, but bands get real competitive with each other, and which that breeds creativity, and a little bit of friendly competition is cool. But when it gets to the point where you're jealous of another band, so that you won't invite them out to do a show, you know, they have more followers than you do, so you don't want them on the bill. That is pointless.
Don't play here,
Yeah.
because we try to help, like, if you say, like, hey, we don't have as many followers or whatever, like, we'll try to put you before somebody who plays with a lot of people who might bring some people.
Yeah, that's
So,
the way to do it. It really is. It's and a lot of some of these bands, you probably run into a lot where you some demands that are just unfulfillable or just ridiculous requests. You know, which is it doesn't need to be that way. This level or any level, really.
a little
in my
bit.
opinion.
We're pretty relaxed. If
Mhm.
people have that many of restrictions, they kind of choose to leave,
Yeah.
which has happened like 2 or 3 times.
Mhm.
We've had a lot of shows in the last like 3 months, so yeah, no, we're pretty open to anything. Last set they had a drum set that they wanted to set up and a drum kit that they wanted to set up. That was bugging me. But so we just tore down the house kit and let them set it up. If they want to use amps, let them use amps, and we're really relaxed. So the biggest issue is if you have a problem playing in a basement, why did you
Right.
come here?
I see you have a smashed guitar over there too.
Oh yeah, we have a few of those up in the living room by the TV. We have a couple of the heads of them.
I love house shows for that. I had this Hagstrom once that it was amazing. It had P90s in it and everything, and I was playing it at a house show, and I fucking smashed it, and it was awesome, and the place went crazy. House shows are so cool for that, man.
Now
The
you
drum
don't.
set. Now I don't have a
Yeah.
Hagstrom.
It never gets old. Smashing your guitar.
No, it
You
doesn't.
can do it over and over
It's
again.
awesome, dude.
It's a feeling.
Right. The crowd loves it. Yeah, dude, you're sharing a vibe.
So, how'd you guys come up with your name, Temple Witch?
So I originally formed the band with my uncle, and we were trying to figure out a name. I wrote a really long list of probably approaching 100 different names, narrowed it down to like 2 of them. I think the other one was Old Master, and we just went with Temple Witch. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Old Master's pretty cool though. I like that.
I liked it.
Yeah.
What was it like when you guys first started? What was your game plan? Did you get something recorded and just start playing places?
I had already had 1.5 songs written. One of them was recorded. It was called Observer. It's the first song on our first record, Hand in Hand with Chaos. So I brought that to the table, and I had another song halfway written, A Time to Atone, that's also on that record. And so the drummer, Johno, he and I started, getting those songs put together. Only a few months after we were a thing, we got into the studio with Joe Veers in Grove City, Sonic Lounge Studios. And we recorded Hand in Hand with Chaos. By then we had like 6 songs. So what did we do? We wrote like 6 songs in 6 months, something like that. It might have been longer, I don't know. But our game plan was we were gonna record an album, go to management, like take what we had and get ourselves management. And we did that. We did that in like a year's time. We're with Extreme Management Group. Then we recorded another album immediately after. Actually, we recorded this album before we even got management. And I think we appealed to them with both. That's Ocean Thousand, Mountain Thousand. And then, well, yeah, that was the initial game plan, and it worked out.
I was heard of that let off. But this album right here.
And then eventually, that led to the management securing us a record label, or a record deal with Wormholedeath Records. and they released that for us. The first one we released independently.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
They're based in Italy, yeah?
yeah.
So, what do you guys do now? Like, you guys play at venues mostly, or do you play at DIY venues?
Well, we're still basically, we still have the game plan in mind. We're, you know, we've got stuff recorded, we've got goals for it. Some things are still happening, you know. So yeah, we're all playing places. We've got it booked summer. So
Awesome.
yeah,
There's a couple things we can't talk about yet.
right.
Okay. How do you guys usually write songs? How does that work?
Most of the time, it's I will come to practice and I'll have 1 or 2 or even 3 riffs ready, you know, mostly written, and I'll show Brian and Jake, and I will I'll say, all right, here's what I have. They'll hear it. Sometimes they'll join in, sometimes they'll just listen, and then when I'm done, they'll you know, usually they just join in, and we just kind of jam like it's already a thing. And then when we're kind of done, when we fizzle out, we'll look at each other and start coming in with new stuff. You know, it's very much based on whatever it feels like. Whatever the song tells us it needs, that's what we go with.
We are really lucky to mesh the way we do, man. It's like automatic almost,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
It's
it
a
really
fun
is.
process
Yeah.
too. It's an it's almost like it's not a job, it's just a fun activity that we're doing. We're making something, you know.
Mhm.
If we feel like the song needs this, then we're gonna try and figure out what that is, you know.
Yeah. So, what are some? So this isn't to say like what influences your sound right now. What kind of influences did you listen to at least before you started really playing music and like getting into it? Like when you picked up your instrument and played, what were some things that got you into it at first?
I'm curious to hear yours. I haven't heard that
Yeah,
yet.
for me, I have a older sister. She's 5 years older. She's great. I remember when she was in high school. She probably started high school in like '89, her first year of high school, and that's when Depeche Mode hit really hard. The Violator record.
Mm.
I remember she would listen to that a lot. I was like, okay, this is cool. I think that's kind of what attracted me to just the low end in general of music, because that's whether it be synth or if they use actual bass guitars, it's a very bass heavy record, a lot of low end, there's no shrill tones on that record at all, which is great. That was a big one. I remember when she got her driver's license, Alice in Chains Man on the Box was frequently on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing that. And so from there, man, it just kind of evolved into heavier and heavier things. Big one influence there's a Kent radio station called 88.9 V-Rock. And they played a lot of pretty underground heavy music. Big one that they played a lot was a band called Acid Bath, who, after a very long absence from music, nearly 30 years I think, they're back touring now. That was a huge one.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode, huge. I like a lot of like 80s kind of gothy stuff. Anything Peter Murphy has touched, I really like. Joy Division, New Order. Those are huge for me. And then, slight element of, not really, I don't want to say shame with this, but because it's not shame, but it's kind of like a little bit cheesy now looking back on it. But really, really big one was when Pantera came out. anybody my age heard that, I was like, what the fuck is
Like
this?
original Pantera?
Oh, yeah.
80s,
Yeah.
80s Pantera?
No, I do like the power metal record that came out in '88 before
That
Cowboys
stuff
and
is
Hell.
awesome too.
It was, yeah,
It's
that
so
was really,
different.
really
It
good.
was like more different than Facelift Alice in Chains
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
but that
it
was
was-
more
yeah,
different than that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, the
amazing.
power metal record, I didn't hear that till much later on, I'd like to hear a proper reissue of that. But I remember it's March 1994, Headbangers Ball debuted the video for 5 Minutes Alone off of Far Beyond Driven, and that was, so I would have been 14 in 1994, and that, everything was downhill after that. I say that half joking, but like it was, that changed everything for a lot of people. It really did. And then from there, I discovered more and more stuff. It's, music is on, whether in reality or virtually in my head, pretty much 24/7. You know, it's just how it is. There's so many, I mean, just countless really good bands out there that are even coming out today that are just, you just gotta find it. You know, the whole nobody makes good music anymore
It's
it
nuts.
is so false.
It has never been true.
It has never, ever been true, man. There's so much good stuff. Big one too, big influence, just a kind of a catalyst, maybe might be a better word for it, was I Hate God. I mean, they came out, I remember hearing them for the first time, I was like, Jesus, what is this? You know,
I don't know that I've heard them.
they're,
I don't think so.
they're slow. I mean, they're from New Orleans, so there is a sound that New Orleans bands have. Definitely, the New Orleans scene is definitely probably the most interesting American scene, in my opinion, for my personal preference. Probably the most unique sound. So those bands definitely, I mean, just huge influence in life.
You asked about influences?
Yeah.
Um,
Early influences when you first started
Well,
playing, or
First
create.
well, that probably was AC/DC. I've been like listening to a few bands before, but my first obsession that I can really remember was with AC/DC around the time I got into first or second grade, and I obsessed with them all throughout elementary school. And when I got into 5th grade, my sister was listening to Nirvana, and well, no, before that, I had all these DVDs of Angus Young. I would watch him play guitar, and I was like, dude, I want to do that, because that dude is badass.
Yeah.
And and I still feel that way. And but then around 5th or 6th grade, 5th grade, my sister had In Utero, and I was hearing that, and it stuck out, but I wasn't quite over AC/DC yet. So my sister got a guitar, and I started learning it with her, but she quit and got rid of it. No, she didn't, but she quit, so I quit too. But the next year, I inherited Nevermind, and I got back into guitar, and so I would say between AC/DC, maybe especially AC/DC and Nirvana, those were my two biggest musical influences. But then of course, I got into high school and became obsessed with Alice in Chains. Moved up to junior year, was obsessed with Tool. Moved into my senior year, was obsessed with Yob for several years. And other things were happening, and you know, that's basically, I think those are the foundations though. You know, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, AC/DC, Tool, and Yob.
That sounds awesome and interesting. I love those. Nirvana was what I started learning guitar with, because that was what me and Bryce would play together most of the time.
Mhm.
We started with Bleach and worked our way up basically.
Fuck yeah, dude.
He loves it. I just want to share, that's cool.
Bleach and Incesticide are probably the two coolest records ever made.
I've been going through them and trying to find the ones that I like the best again. And it's been fun.
And I mean, I have to stress, like, other bands, there are so many other bands that will resonate with you so completely through to your very soul. It just matters where you are in life. like Spotlight's, the doom metal band, resonates in my very core, dude. They're incredible, but sometimes I don't listen to them for a while. That's just how it goes with bands, you know.
Yeah.
And like they can influence you more than any other band at a certain point in life. But you know, those were my early ones.
Yeah. So, now how has that changed a little bit? What's one band that you guys are like? This is how I'll ask this. What's a fun song to cover for you guys now, individually or together? Actually, together and individually.
We are only just learning how to cover some things together. We've been covering School by Nirvana. We've covered it a few times, but we haven't covered too much together, to be honest.
No, we haven't.
We've talked about what we want to cover.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we should do though, for sure.
Yeah.
And we will. But individually, what do you cover?
I don't really anymore. So I just kind of do. I don't really play anybody else's songs anymore. I'll do just kind of dexterity exercises and just kind of always try and fill a space in the songs with something low. Obviously, as a bass player, I hope you've noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
there's always almost like Peter Hook from New Order. He was in Joy Division. He had a really interesting. He was always had his root note going,
Okay.
or whatever key the songs, and almost always had that going while he was playing something higher. And I by no means am I comparing myself to him because he is otherworldly, but that's the style of bass playing I like the most. Rather than just, okay, you're hammering away on this, I'm gonna hammer away on that too.
Right.
Which is cool, but I think with our band, it makes sense to not do it that way,
Right.
personally, I don't know.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What do you guys like outside of shows? What do you guys do for fun?
I'm pretty boring. I like to write. I like to play PC. I play instruments a lot. I walk my dog. I go to work, and I write. And that's about all I do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good life.
I mean, I go to my friend's house on Saturdays pretty much religiously. But other than that, yeah, and practice on Sundays, and we get together on Fridays sometimes. And
Yeah.
What do you do before a show to prepare?
Generally, we'll get together and jam through. Sometimes we get food before or after. You know, we'll hang out. There's definitely a hangout period before. So
Yeah.
you know.
The hurry up and wait, they call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweet. What do you like, Ryan?
I like a lot of stuff. Number one is this music, I don't want to call it a project, this way of life. Probably sounds even cornier than project, but that's number one priority. I'm very much into bikes, bicycles. I also can have older BMW motorcycle. I like it quite a bit. Nature hikes, really into photography. Really enjoy that. I do that as much as I can. I like the kind of liminal style. A lot of open space, and I'm not saying I'm good by any means, but I'm saying I enjoy doing it quite a bit. It's
not
fun.
being very good.
Right, exactly. It's I really enjoy it. I like viewing them. I like seeing what other people do, photography wise.
You are good though, man.
Big into
The stuff remember the promotional video you did for us? It was just the outtake video.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I loved that thing.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
That
That was a
was
cool
awesome.
day too. I think I've only known you guys for a couple weeks.
Yeah, that was fun.
The cloud cover that day was awesome though. It was
Yeah,
kind of
it
like
worked.
it was very like
We should do another one of those sometime,
yeah.
I think.
But the cloud cover that day reminded me of like what the cloud cover was like when Black Sabbath recording their first record. It was very like kind of just dreary.
Yeah.
It was cool. A little bit of sun coming through, but
Right.
yeah,
The
that
perfect
was,
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I like nature stuff too quite a bit.
Those girls kept following us around. Did you notice that?
Yeah, they're probably gonna call the cops.
The problem.
Some old dude walking around taking pictures of some guys who are 20 years younger than him. That's probably what it was.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
What's the craziest thing you guys have seen?
Like ever in personal life?
Yeah, we'll start there.
No, dude, I can't. I've seen a lot of fucked up stuff. I've seen.
Okay.
I'll tell you. So here's the thing, man. One of them I don't. It's hard to revisit, so I'm not going to talk about that one. I saw somebody take a bullet once when I first moved to Cleveland. It was fucking terrible. But the right in front of me, man. My God. But the craziest thing is I've worked in fine dining for a very long time as a server and a sommelier. I'll tell you this, man. The people that society would look at and expect to act a certain way don't act that way. People that society might look at and be like, that's a perfectly upstanding person right there. Those people are oftentimes wretched.
I bet I look kind of upstanding, but
Certainly.
I'm obviously a degenerate, so
You're
here's
not a
one
degenerate.
example.
I've seen people that are pretty high public profile people just treat people like subhumans. The most messed up thing, in my opinion, I've ever heard somebody say was I was working and I was, again, fine dining, so it tends to gravitate towards people that have a little bit of money today.
Right,
which
I
is
see
fine.
what you.
But it was a veterinarian, I'm not gonna say his name. It was a veterinarian that enough people know. He said boastfully to the 5 people he was at dinner with, and this is pretty much verbatim, his memory's imperfect, but this is pretty much, he said, if it's a Friday and I'm itching to get out on the golf course, I'm a lot more likely to recommend euthanasia than I am if it's a Monday or a Tuesday and I don't have anything going on that day.
Like for someone else or for himself?
For their pet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say it's Monday, you know, your dog comes in, maybe ingested some gum that has xylitol in it, that artificial sweetener, it's highly toxic.
Oh, that kind of.
So it was, so he on Friday, he basically was saying that he's more likely to recommend just putting the animal down as opposed to putting any efforts into saving it than he would be if it was a Monday or a Tuesday, because he wants to go golf.
Don't take your pet to the bed on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that before too.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
Okay, wait. I want to ask something different. What's the weirdest you've seen somebody act, like in your experience? Like you see crackheads down the street or whatever.
Like professionally, you mean?
I've seen. Mine is probably one of my favorites is probably driving down when I lived more closer to the university. There were crackheads in front of the CVS always for some reason, and one of them was like sword fighting demons or some shit.
Actually, I live in Cleveland, man. I work in Trino. I worked for years downtown, so I see like I don't get fazed by stuff.
What's the
like
craziest?
Probably the most discomforting thing was just some unfortunate homeless people situations to where it's beyond. They're beyond being helped, which sucks. But the most uncomfortable I've ever been was when it was dead of winter, and there was a lady at the restaurant that I worked in, and I was waiting on them. She had just a really dull, like almost soulless look in her eyes, and dead of winter, mind you. There was flies just circling her head. So like, is this some kind of weird, is something going on here?
She's trying to curse.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very uncomfortable situation. Kind of funny in the same way, but it was was
I had a dude, I used to live in Akron too, on Corley Street, and my roommate and I were standing on the front porch, and a dude was helping a group of other guys get a truck unstuck in the field across from us, and he looked up at Clay and I, my roommate, ran up to us, and he decided he was going to tell us the story about how he used to live in our house when a drive-by shooting happened while he lived there. And this is also the same house where Clay had a box truck, and there's a frantic knocking on the door one day. And we go outside, and this crackhead lady is telling us, "Oh my God, your box truck, it's rolling down the street." And Clay's box truck is rolling, this is in Akron, rolling down the street and hits the sidewall, whatever it's called. And so we're both staring at it, and then after it stops, we turn around looking for this woman, and she's completely disappeared. And
She did it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and then
Did the drive-by actually happen?
we don't know, but
Oh, so
we wouldn't
I
be
thought,
surprised.
I thought, from what I understood, it was like you were living there, then he was living there,
Oh,
but he was
no.
living. You didn't find any bullets or anything.
He lived there, according to his story, years and years before we were there. So as a
Okay.
kid, he was there.
Oh.
But the craziest thing to happen to me in Akron is I living in the same place. I was at the gas station just down the street, and it's midnight, so we had to stand at the window to get whatever we wanted outside. And this guy is up behind me real close, and I kind of look around, and he holds up his phone and he goes, "Hey, is this you?" And he shows me a picture of a dude naked with a foot-long appendage, and I'm like, "No." And he said, "Oh, I thought it was."
I would.
No. And then I can't remember. He said something else to me. It was weird. And then I walked back to my car. He followed me back, and he started asking me for beer money or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fucking. That was bizarre too.
When we moved in here, we have a Checkers and Rallies. We have a Circle K and a Sunoco, and sometimes we would go to the Rallies and Sunoco to get drinks or something, or like whatever, and we would go from one to the other, and the same homeless guy would come up and ask us for change and cigarettes, and we were like, you can't even go out to get Rallies anymore without some guy asking you for cigarettes and money twice. I don't know. It's crazy out here.
It's Ohio, man.
Yeah. You want to try this?
Oh, good, thank you. Youngstown is basically abandoned, half of it at least. You know, you go through there and half the buildings are empty, none of the streets are occupied. It's interesting. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Do they have issues with like squatters and stuff?
I probably,
Yeah.
but the thing is, like, I don't even see squatters. You know, they're probably just hiding inside, but like, you don't even see signs of them.
It's just a ghost town.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, that's not all of Youngstown, but
Yeah.
Canton can be like that in some places.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I have some friends in some not so great places in Canton either, where I used to buy my weed too. So
We're lucky in Kent because we have a legitimate dispensary there. It's a legitimate recreational dispensary. It's amazing, man, because I remember when I was like 14, I would have to, you know, go to my friend and he would have to go to his shady dealer and get shitty weed, and, you know, 14, Jesus Christ. I only did it once when I was 14.
Well, hey.
Or twice.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times. I shouldn't endorse it.
It's legal. It's safe. It's fine.
oh yeah.
I did it once. I told my stepsister that I did it, and I got caught the next day.
I was smoking all through high school, and apparently I never got caught, but I got out when I was 18 because I was sneaking out, and they were like, you could be sneaking out to do drugs and all that. And I was like, I haven't been doing them here. And then that might have been a last straw, so maybe I shouldn't have said that. Now that I think about it, but who do you, I just thought of two different questions now. I gotta think about how I want to ask. Who runs the Instagram or the social media, and what is that, so that we could shout it out here for those who are listening?
Brian basically took over Instagram, and thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely.
I still am clumsily handling Facebook, but you know.
Handle both.
Yeah.
Just got to sync them up.
Yeah,
It's,
we're trying to figure some stuff out about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Temple Witch Band, is it? On Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, Temple Witch Band, one word.
Okay.
That's the Instagram, and Facebook, it's just, of course, Temple Witch.
Ooh, that's a good question. I haven't even looked at that. Let me ask you guys. I know my next question. Let me ask you, have you guys seen anything you want to ask yet? Or anything that you were like, oh, that would be a good question?
Oh yeah, actually I did.
Because those are some different questions than what I pulled up over here. And I also ask my own questions. I forget. I get lost a lot, so I might ask, did I ask this yet?
How do you settle any disagreements?
Right, that's one of my favorite questions. I always ask it.
We just talk.
Yeah.
Like, generally, you'll find if you just talk for a while, you get it ironed out into some sort of compromise, some way, shape, or form.
I don't really disagree on it.
Yeah.
Like a disagreement might be like, hey, do you like this bass part? And he'll say no, and I'm like, then he'll do his version of it. It's always better anyway, so, you know?
Yeah, that leads me to my next question that I was gonna ask is, who's the most, like, how do you guys decide how something's gonna go? Like, who really is the most anal about it? Like, who wants things to be like a certain way that you gotta, I don't know. I don't wanna ask like who the leader is, although I would like to know who like helps, like how do you decide like what's good or bad basically, or what's gonna happen, the shows and all that? Because a lot of times it also is just a band as well, like you can do it as a group.
I guess I think from the start, I always structured it as it's a 3-piece and it's 33% each way. But we also are each bringing one of our like an individual thing to it, and if we can do that harmoniously and without interfering too much, but also you're asking about band leader. That is something that I think kind of changes. And
I'm trying.
I am the founding member.
Yeah, well, you're definitely a band leader.
I'm trying not to ask that because sometimes that could
No, he's
cause
definitely
discourse,
a band
but
leader.
I just try to find out like.
Yeah, well, I am the founding member, and so I had the original goal in mind, and I think everything has been built upon that.
Yeah.
So there is that idea of like, there is that there, of course, but also I have to return to the point, like, that was also built upon the idea of we're a trio with equal input in this, you know, and we're gonna respect one another, so.
Which is part of that, just being able to talk through your differences.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've been in bands where that kind of comes a little bit easier, but then also where I've had like a beer and guitar thrown at me and we roll around on the floor. So
Was that a show?
no, just a practice before
Oh.
the show. It was a tight schedule, and you know feelings were high, so and I was 15 minutes late.
Have you ever seen that video of I think it was a drummer hits the singer in the head with a cymbal?
Yeah.
That was awesome. It was like a group of dads just performing.
I've seen one where the guy goes back into the drum set and just starts beating the shit out of the drummer.
Dude, it's hilarious to watch in the video, but I've actually seen things get tense on stage in the audience, and it gets tense in the audience too, you know?
Yeah. Luckily, that's not happened while performing. Although, I'm not sure how we do this, but we take bets on fights, so if that's something you're interested, find out about it. I don't know.
Alright.
I also figure out if that's a joke or not.
I don't know if it's a joke or not.
No, it is. It'd be a good idea though.
It would.
It would.
Who's the biggest gear nerd? Like, yeah.
That's also a good question.
Probably. I mean, you have a good amount of pedals.
I do have more
Yeah.
pedals on my board, but I
But your
also,
pedals are actually like, they serve a purpose though. You don't buy a pedal just because you want a pedal.
well, the reason for that is because I'm way dumber about all that stuff that I have here. I
Yeah.
don't know much about it.
Yeah.
So I just buy what I know about.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I got a new one delivered today. Before we came here, we messed around with probably about 10, 15 minutes or so.
yeah.
It's a preamp distortion. Dark Glass is the Alpha Omega pedal, I believe. Yeah, I like basses.
Yeah. I wouldn't call myself really a gearhead or anything on my instrument. I barely know the additives or anything. I actually use like a Zoom, like a multi-effects pedal.
Yeah.
So I just like put in random sounds or something through that. But it's interesting when people know, I literally just found out what a Floyd Rose is like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Jake Jones he's the bassist we had before. That dude confused the hell out of me. He'll text me still sometimes, just, I got this new preamp, man, the Red Devil or whatever it is, and no fucking clue what he's talking about, but it's awesome because then he'll send me a recording and it's the most badass tone you've ever heard.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't I just learn about this? I even went to audio engineering school for a few months and got a certificate, and I still don't know about it.
There's a lot to it.
There is. It's really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of it's intuitive, you know?
Oh, very much so.
It's just all the words.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I remember it was a time I was like, it wasn't a time when people had immediate internet access. I remember like trying to figure out ohms. Like, what is an ohm? Like, what? What does it even mean? Why does it matter? Why can't I just plug this into that? It'll be fine.
Right.
Maybe you have to like less, like, you can't have more from the amp to the cabinet and that's,
Right.
Has being in a band changed any way you see the world at all?
I'd say in a lot of ways it models how certain people see the world. It's like it gives you a purpose, man. It's, you don't do it for money, you don't do it for fame. I mean, some people do, but it's fine if they do. I mean, who wouldn't want? I definitely see not wanting fame, but everybody, unfortunately, wants to make money. You have to, but like I said, it's just a purpose, man. It's something to do. It's a creative outlet. It's just a must do for some people. You know, so it's how some people have to paint.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have to write. Some people have to crochet. Some people have to knit Afghans. You know, it's all art, and at the end of the day, it's just something you have to do, man. That's my answer. I'm sure. I mean, you're definitely the same way. You could not play music.
No,
you know?
Like you said, some people have to jam, or
Yeah.
have to paint. Yeah, some people have to jam. I just couldn't do without it. I've gone for stretches. Like I've noticed if I get really depressed, it's at the same time that I'm not jamming. So the two things happen at once, it seems. So I have to do it. It's unhealthy if I don't.
Yeah.
If your band had a motto, what would it be?
Ooh, man. It would probably be, I'm not quick enough to think of things like that. It would probably be,
Mine would be just keep going. You know, you're gonna hit snags, there's gonna be delays and things, but just, I mean, it's like anything you do, man, nothing's a perfect situation when it comes to this, and, you know, for instance, we could have gone and done something that we really wanted to do the beginning of this month, but we were kind of given not enough notice to really make it work. Instead of getting really bummed out about it, it's okay, just to make the next one better. Let's make the next opportunity. We'll have more time to iron it out.
maybe
And
next
just do
time
something.
is the
Yeah.
motto.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next
Yeah.
time. Yep.
What's a memory you would relive if you could then?
I'm sorry?
What's a band memory that you would relive?
Well, actually, one thing I would like to do, this is from a different band though, and I actually have another one. I want to go, I opened for Mushroom Head once a few years back, and that show was so fucking crazy. The fire department was called. So if I could get the fire department called on another show, but not for like fire reasons,
Yeah.
that would be really cool. Cause
Why they get called?
Cause
Capacity or something?
capacity, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Outpost, and it's
Yeah,
like
those, yeah.
200 there is the capacity, I think.
Is that small?
We were up to like 500 or 700 or something.
Yeah, it's a
Get
lot.
them to come back with you here.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was so much fun. And what was your question?
It was
Relive a
yeah.
moment.
Oh yeah, and then also with Temple Witch, at least going on tour, man, was so much fun. So just reliving that entire experience. But neither Jake nor Brian were there at the time. Worley, I mean to say. So touring with them would be awesome.
Which, by the way, Worley, our drummer, again, couldn't be here.
Yeah.
He is also in a really cool band called Emerald Rage, where he sings and plays guitar. I call it like a power metal kind of thing.
Definitely. Very
Yeah, they're a
powerful.
really cool band. So check
That's
them out.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emerald
Yeah.
Rage, they're called.
Yeah, he's insanely good at guitar.
He is. Good drummer, good singer.
Yeah.
What was that like being on tour?
It was fun. We would go to a new location every day, and we would all get to explore the town for a little while, eat whatever cuisine they had, and a lot of the places. We went to Newark, and they had murals all over their buildings, all over the place. It was fascinating, and yeah, it was interesting just getting to see all these different places and doing it every day. And some of the places were really shitty, and that was interesting and fun. And then some of the places were really nice, and every place was so different, and it just was invigorating. I'm excited to do it again.
But I'm sure you found really anywhere you go, everybody just wants the same thing. They just want a good, peaceful life and get along with each other. That's all people want. And I'm sure when you're on tour, you saw it. There's people being cool for the most part.
Right.
You know,
We went through the mountains and through, big cities and all these different places, and it was just people being people,
Yeah.
all the way through. It was amazing to be all those places. We actually, managed to make friends all along the way too.
yeah.
So
Tell me what I hate to ask to like define your music or anything, so I'll leave it open-ended. Just tell me about your music and your sound, I guess, if you can.
it's ever evolving. It's changed dramatically, I would say, since Hand in Hand with Chaos. I still love that album, so all I mean to pay respect to it, but I like to keep things open because I don't want to be a band that just sticks to one thing. I don't want to do AC/DC, make
Yeah.
the same album. I guess you would say it's doom metal. It was definitely more classically doom, I think, originally.
Yeah.
But then something else started happening by album 2, Ocean Thousand, Mountain Thousand, and I don't know, maybe it's like a grunge thing happening, maybe a stoner. It's still pretty doomy. And then we actually recorded some stuff that hasn't been released yet, and it seems to be a little bit different as well. And what we're writing now is different also from what we recorded, but it's all, all of it you can still hear Temple Witch.
Yeah.
You know, so there's something about it that it's the same heart beating, but I don't know. If I had to throw words on it, grunge doom grunge. That's what I would say. What would you say?
I like that, like dark doom.
Dark doom?
Yeah, kind of like cold. It's called cold doom.
Cold doom.
Cold doom with a syllable that
Nice.
is on the word cold.
Okay,
Cold doom,
nice.
meaning, you know, it's not like a lot of really cool doom bands. A lot of, you know, almost like traditional progressions,
Okay.
which is great. There's a reason why music based out of a pentatonic scale is pleasing to so many people's ears, because it does sound good. But you, what initially drew my ear to Temple Witch because it's not based out of that. It's quite different. It's you know, I mean, how many songs can you hear in your life where you're just kind of just rocking away on that fifth fret? Again, nothing wrong with it, but
No, there's anything wrong with that.
there's not. But you know, just, you know, like you'll start with tuned to, most of us tuned to drop G, yeah,
Yeah, well,
recorded wise, and
actually at this point I think it's pretty evenly split between A standard and drop G.
A standard drop G, yeah. So it's it has a nice low tuning, obviously, but it still sounds good. So for me, it's a band that I'm really happy about it because I like the band. I like if I wasn't in Temple Witch, I would listen to Temple Witch. And I don't think many people can say that about the music they create. It's kind of a little awkward to listen to what you play. And, you know, being somebody that just joined, it's great for me because it's stuff I like. You know, I was lucky enough to find and be offered the position, I guess, to play with them. It's a good, unique sound. It's less than predictable chord progressions, and I like that in music. I like a kind of different vibe. You know?
How often do you guys practice then?
We do as a whole band once a week. Big shows coming up that we'll do more. We try to get together twice a week. I'd like to do 3, but I practice every day, but good, because it's fun. But you know, everybody has jobs and they're busy, man. You can only. I work at almost an opposite schedule of what you guys do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Worley's in college too, and he has another band, and then like 2 side projects.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many hours he works, but he works full time at least. So
It's something you gotta get out, but it's also like an addiction as well.
Oh,
You just gotta do it as much as possible.
yeah.
So what would your life be like if you weren't so involved in music?
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
Stagnant. That'd be a good word for it.
I'd be rich.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I'd have a car. Yep, life would be good. No, man.
It's the life that shows you, they say.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
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 So you guys are playing. When are you guys playing again?
The 20th.
Yeah, the 20th. We're doing 2 shows.
2 shows.
This
We're,
month?
yeah, we're doing here on the 20th, and we're also doing the Brothers Lounge in Cleveland on the 20th.
Okay.
So we're doing 2 shows in one day, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
What would be any advice that you give to a band just starting out?
Do it because you want to. Like, you could do it for the band. you know, do it for the friendship, and don't make it all about money and success.
And write music for yourself.
Yes.
There's gonna be way more people that don't like your music than do anyway, so just write it for yourself, you know what I mean?
Be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And respect your bandmates. Be lucky enough to find bandmates that are good people.
Right.
I think that's about all I've got for you, unless you guys have anything else.
Yeah, that's great.
No, I just we appreciate you very much.
Yeah, we really
If you
do.
want to plug anything, like, how do we find your music on your Instagram? Which, right?
Yeah, Temple Witch Band, that's for the Instagram. Facebook is Temple Witch. Bandcamp, which is under construction, well, it's gonna be under construction. Spotify,
Right.
Temple Witch,
Right.
Spotify.
You any streaming platform wherever you
Apple
listen to music, Apple,
YouTube Music.
all of it. You'll hear us anywhere. We have a Redbubble store. We're actually gonna try and reconstruct it, and that will be attached to our link tree, which is also on Instagram, I believe. It's also on Facebook. Yeah, we'll have plenty of shows coming up, 20th and beyond, and I think that's all I got.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming out.